What is up? GoodMicWork back at you. We are firmly entrenched in the road to WrestleMania, and I'm up here with your Monday Night Raw review for March 7th, 2016. Came to us from Chicago tonight, and it was a damn good Monday Night Raw. We're going to get into all of that in a minute, as well as the RoadBlock special event on the WWE Network and the Hall of Fame and everything else regarding the road to WrestleMania. Of course, as I'm sure a lot of you expected, I wanted to begin tonight with a giant thank you to everyone out there for the overwhelmingly positive support and response I've gotten so far on my WrestleMania Memories commentary that I uploaded last week. If you have not seen that or were unaware of it for any reason, I will put the link up here on the screen, and there's also a link in the description. I would love if you checked it out. I've been shown an unbelievable amount of love on social media, on the video itself, in the comments section, on Facebook, on Twitter, in emails, in private messages, in direct messages. I think I spent that whole first day just retweeting people that were saying great things about the commentary. So I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you guys appreciate that I did the commentary, and I really had a good time doing it, to be honest with you. I love taking a look back at the history of professional wrestling and big shows and all that stuff, and I like the way I set this one up. I thought it would be entertaining enough that it could keep your interest for long periods of time, and so far the analytics are showing that people are watching on average over an hour. That's a pretty impressive stat, especially for YouTube when you have so many other distractions. You can easily click off a video. For people to be watching for that amount of time is pretty amazing, and so many of you told me you watched the thing straight through. I can't even imagine doing that. You'd have to stay up all night or all day doing that, but some of you actually did and loved every minute of it and told me so, and just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to everyone. I was expecting the video to be good. I was expecting it to get a good response because I knew it was well done, but I didn't realize that it was going to, I don't know, impress people on the level that it did. And for that, you have my sincere thank you for all your support and all your kind words. I'd even like to say a thank you to Solomonster, who, of course, Jason Solomon, who's the host of the Solomonster Sounds Off podcast, very successful podcast out of the New York area. He has a huge following. I didn't even know that he was aware of this video or saw it, but he did and liked it and gave me a shout out in his latest podcast, and I really, really appreciate that. At the end of the day, the video has gotten me a lot of reaction and a lot of new followers and subs and just a lot of love in the past week. And I think it's a big step in the right direction for this channel. On the road to WrestleMania, all these videos I'm planning on doing is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to try to be up here every single week after Raw leading up to WrestleMania because all of these Raws are supposed to be big shows. I will try to do a RoadBlock reaction video if the show is okay. I think we kind of know what the outcomes are going to be, so I may or may not come up and do a review right after the show. If I don't, I'll talk about it when I discuss Raw a couple days later. I will also try to be up here, and I'm going to try to make plans to be home for the Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania, and even come up and do a reaction video on the Hall of Fame, and then a reaction video after WrestleMania, and then a post-WrestleMania Monday Night Raw reaction as well. So I'm going to try to give you guys a ton of videos between now and WrestleMania because this is a very big time of the year, and it's a chance for my channel to grow. I was also put in touch with a guy who's going to be designing a custom intro and custom logo for me, which is almost ready. I'll probably debut that sometime before WrestleMania as well. There's a few things about my channel that I think could use some upgrades, so I decided to spend the money and get some things professionally done. And I'm looking forward to another gradual evolution of this channel. I also plan on bringing back my This Day in Histories. I already have the date. It's later on this month. The video is already done. It's just sitting there in my video manager waiting for the date so I can release it to all of you. I decided that I want to bring back that segment. It's not very hard to do. My life was just so crazy. I just decided to put it on the back burner and re-pick it up whenever I could. I feel now that I have the time to do it, especially if I do a few in advance. That way I can give them to you consistently. And now that I've kind of got a head start, I should be able to do that. So This Day in History will return near the end of the month. And after that, I will definitely try to get them to you as often as possible, but I don't want to promise anything definite so I don't look like a fucking liar. So that will wrap it up for all the channel nonsense as usual. Please like this video and subscribe if you have not already. Follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. Visit me on my website, GoodMicWorkCommentaries.com. You can watch all these YouTube videos over there. You can also download an MP3 of the audio of this commentary if you want to listen to it while you're on the go. I'm also on Stitcher, and I'm also on iTunes. Now, we will finally get into Monday Night Raw. I hope I didn't bore you with too much of that introduction shit. Hopefully I will have thought enough to put a timestamp on the screen for you to skip ahead right to this moment. But when you're trying to build your channel and brand, sometimes you got to go through a little bit of bullshit and self-plugging before you get to the meat and potatoes of the commentary. Here we are. Raw tonight from Chicago. I tweeted out earlier in the day, WWE better do something. They are in front of a nasty crowd, and a crowd that can turn on you quick. And they usually know better when they come into this building and give us some pretty good shows and at least some very good matches. So I think the WWE did take care of the fans tonight. They booked the card carefully and made sure that the fans didn't have a chance to really hijack it or do anything fucked up. Even a lot of the matches, if you notice, they pretty much made them to where no matter who won, the fans really couldn't get pissed off. There was nobody really out there tonight that was really universally hated or would immediately cause the fans to scream burial, that they buried somebody or something like that. It was pretty much, guys that the smart fans kind of respect in general anyway. So I think that was pretty smart by the WWE. And the fact that they gave us a pretty good action-packed show with some great matches, and there was no Roman Reigns, there was no Undertaker, there was no Brock Lesnar, there was no a lot of stuff tonight, and the show was still pretty good. So we'll go in order here. A lot of times I skip around tonight. We'll go in order. Why not? Show opens up with Shane McMahon coming out to a huge pop, just as big as he got the night that he returned. So that's the one good thing about Shane McMahon is for some reason, and I love Shane, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't expecting him to be over like Hulk Hogan returned in 2002 over. That's what it seems like. The fans seem really, really, really happy to have Shane back. And even though we all have a shit ton of respect for Shane, I'm surprised that, the fans are going this nuts for him. I'm used to hearing the fans complain about guys being in WrestleMania matches and they don't deserve to and all this. Here, Shane McMahon hasn't even been in the company in 7 or 8 years. He's the son of the owner. He's got all the money he's ever going to need, and he's still coming in taking away a big money spot from a potential younger roster member. That's something that normally would piss the fans off, but they don't seem to care a bit that Shane McMahon is in this Hell in the Cell match with The Undertaker. If anything, they're excited for it. And I am too. I love Shane. I'm not knocking the guy. I think Shane's awesome. And I'm sure, even at his age, he's got to be in his mid-40s by now, I still think Shane is going to find a way to entertain the hell out of us because the guy is fucking crazy. I'm not expecting him to jump off anything because he doesn't want to die, but I definitely think they're going to do a lot. They have to, right? They have to do a lot of innovative and entertaining things because this is WrestleMania. They're in a Hell in the Cell. Both of these guys are older. They're going to have to do something in there that's memorable that we'll never forget. So you got to know that's going to happen. Shane cuts his promo on the Authority and most specifically his father, and, they go there again the same way they did when he returned, and he talked about how Vince is out of touch with not only his family but his audience, and his product has been suffering for it. So he's pointing out all of these real-life issues with the WWE, which at least they are self-aware. At least the WWE knows what the problems are. Why they choose not to fix many of them, I have no idea, but at least they do know that some fans do believe that Vince McMahon and the WWE style of entertainment and booking is way out of touch and done on way too elementary of a level. You have to be a fucking fifth grader to even really be entertained by any of this unless you're a true wrestling fan like us who've been watching for years. So for them to acknowledge stuff like that, and maybe, just maybe at the end of this, whatever they wind up doing at WrestleMania, if Shane does wind up being in control, even though it's storyline, maybe the WWE is trying to change direction a little bit. Maybe not change their direction, but maybe go through another era, maybe begin another era after WrestleMania. Maybe the Authority and Vince McMahon just stay off TV for the foreseeable future, maybe 1 or even 2, possibly even 3 years. Maybe they're just off camera. And they can let Shane and maybe future GMs take the reins again of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and have just different Authority figures. The Authority has been a prominent part of WWE's television and storytelling for a few years now. And if they're going to have one show where it all ends, WrestleMania, I think would be a good choice. But there's so many questions surrounding this match. Getting back to Shane's promo so we don't get too off track here, Shane goes on to cut that promo to a pretty good crowd reaction and says all those things about Vince. Vince then comes out on the stage. He enters to The Undertaker's gong. They were giving him so much shit, too. That crowd was on fire earlier on in the show. They did the old school asshole chant. They were chanting CM Punk. They were chanting everything, but Vince just basically goes on to insult Shane and just say some really awful things that fathers should not say to sons. Even puts a picture up on the screen of the two of them together, and he's holding a framed version of the same picture, and then he throws it down on the floor, and he starts stomping on it. It's just fucking ridiculous. Vince eventually summons security to remove Shane McMahon from the building, and Shane stands pretty tall. He warns the guys, hey, don't come in here. I'm pretty pissed off. I'm going to kick your ass. One of the guys gets in there. Shane fights him off, throws a few punches, and tosses him over the top rope, and basically leaves on his own by fighting off the security. So Shane looked pretty strong, I guess, in that opening segment. The match with Undertaker is still a little bit kind of baffling. I don't know what kind of direction they're going to go. We all want to root for Shane McMahon, right? We all want to see Shane McMahon on TV more. If he's going to be the person in charge of Monday Night Raw, the only way to do that is to beat The Undertaker, apparently. So we want to see The Undertaker lose at WrestleMania? That's what we're all going to be rooting for? When has that ever happened? When have we ever been rooting for The Undertaker to lose at WrestleMania? The lines are definitely blurred right now between babyface and heels. I mean, Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, I don't know what either one of those two guys are. Brock Lesnar's got a match against a heel at RoadBlock and a match against a babyface at WrestleMania. Now you got Undertaker, one of the biggest babyfaces in WWE's history, taking on Shane McMahon in a match with a stipulation that, pretty much has the fans wanting Taker to lose. So the whole situation is a little bit baffling, but also intriguing, and you never know where it's going to wind up. We mentioned last week about the brand split. Some people think the brand split is a good idea. Some people think it's a bad idea. I'm in the camp that thinks it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think it might be actually a good one. Only because, come on, this shit can't suck any worse than it does, right? You got to wonder what kind of swerves they could throw at us in that match. Are we going to get some run-ins? Are we going to get a major return of some kind during that match that we didn't see coming? Is The Undertaker going to go full-blown heel? Is Shane McMahon going to go heel? Will Vince McMahon go babyface or something like that? Will they do a double turn of any kind? I think if we got a good, entertaining match between Taker and Shane, and then we got a whole bunch of twists and turns along the way before we got to the end of the story, I think this can be a really exciting WrestleMania Hell in the Cell match. We'll just have to wait and see. I'd love to hear your ideas, so hit me up with those in the comments below. Our first wrestling match of the night was smart booking by the WWE. Kevin Owens, Intercontinental Champion, versus Neville. Two guys that the fans love, two guys with a lot of NXT history, and two guys that are both goddamn amazing in the ring. And this was an awesome match. Neville, he is breathtaking to watch. I definitely think we got a "This is awesome" chant or two in this match as well, and Owens wound up winning with a roll-up. I think he had a handful of tights on top of that, so he cheated to win, and he's going into WrestleMania to defend his Intercontinental title against somebody, right? Well, as Neville is complaining to the referee about Owens cheating, he gets back in the ring and attacks Neville and starts going to work on him. And next thing you know, Sami Zayn's music hits and he finally makes his long-awaited return to the main roster in Monday Night Raw, coming out to save Neville, having a big brawl with Kevin Owens, kicking his ass and throwing him out of the ring, and standing there with a lot of intensity. Fans were going nuts for it. WWE had leaked some sort of a surprise or some sort of a return. I guess this was the one they were talking about. And now that he's back and made the return in the way he did, you got to wonder if that's going to lead to that Intercontinental title match we were wanting. A lot of us had called this out months ago. Way back at the end of the year last year, that this would be a really good IC title match to have. So I'm hoping a one-on-one Intercontinental title match between those two great wrestlers is exactly what WrestleMania needs. And it's what we've always expected from WrestleMania. I want to go back to those days of having good one-on-one matches for the Intercontinental title without 15 fucking guys involved. Just go old school. So I'm hoping that's what they do for WrestleMania. Next up, we had Summer Rae taking on Brie Bella. Summer got the victory after Lana had come out and distracted Brie. She even came out wearing her old 80s gear, kind of the way she looked when she was with Dolph Ziggler. She had a run-in with Brie last week, I think, backstage, where she insulted her and Nikki and Daniel Bryan and everybody else, and they're trying to start something with her and Lana. I guess Lana might be getting in the ring now, because after Brie had lost to Summer, Lana comes in the ring and attacks her from behind and hits her with X-Pac's old move. What's it called? The X Factor. So you got to wonder if they're going to finally do something with Lana. A lot of people have thought she might be in the doghouse because of everything with Rusev and her getting engaged to him, and that just infuriates me to no end. If this girl or Rusev are in the doghouse for any reason, for having a personal life and choosing to get engaged or get married, then WWE can fuck the fuck off. You cannot tell someone how to live their life, and if somebody chooses to get engaged, they can't get heat for that. Give me a fucking break. What the hell is this? But anyway, Lana looks like they're finally going to do a little bit of something with her. She hasn't even really been out there with Rusev much lately because he's all happy with his butt buddies in the League of Nations. I guess he forgot he has a wife. She's kind of on her own now and should be entering the Divas division, I guess, to start getting in the ring. She's been training, so we'll see what Lana can do. Dean Ambrose promo was up next. Great shit. He's getting better and better. Crowd tonight in Chicago gave him a lot of love. They were into it. He seems absolutely fearless about his match, not only with Triple H at RoadBlock, but with Brock at WrestleMania. Talked some shit about Triple H prompting Hunter to come out to the stage and kind of tease that he might get in the ring to fight him, but he says, no way, I don't fight on anybody's terms except my own. I'll see you at RoadBlock. And by the way, you're going to be competing tonight in the main event against Bray Wyatt. So that whole promo and segment was to set up that. Earlier on in the night, Dolph Ziggler had a run-in with Stephanie McMahon backstage, and it was so stupid. I guess Stephanie had confronted Dolph about sending out a tweet earlier on in the day, and they made him delete it. And he's like, yeah, sorry. And he said something, he didn't even say anything that bad about the Authority. He just bragged about the time he beat them all at Survivor Series a couple of years ago. So Stephanie, I guess, makes him delete the tweet, and as punishment, he's got to go out there in a 3-on-1 elimination match against 3 members of the League of Nations, being Rusev, Sheamus, and Wade Barrett. So in a pretty easy one to predict, I called this out on Twitter. I'm like, well, you know Barrett's going to get eliminated because he's supposedly leaving WWE, so he'll be jobbing out. I bet you Ziggler will eliminate him, and then Ziggler will wind up getting beat. And he did, and he wound up pinning Wade Barrett, and then a pretty good finish and a good sequence at the end. I think he was hanging off the middle rope, and Rusev was on the outside of the ring and hit Ziggler right in the head with a kick. He kind of wobbled back into the ring and gets nailed with a brogue kick by Sheamus and gets pinned. So good finish there. Not sure what the point of it was or what the direction for Dolph or the League of Nations, for that matter, is going into WrestleMania. He's another guy with issues with the Authority, so if they're building that up, you know, maybe he's one of the guys that helps end the Authority at WrestleMania somehow. Who knows? We had Sasha and Becky teaming up again to take on Tamina and Naomi again. And who tapped out? Naomi did, right? To Sasha Banks' bank statement. Charlotte's at ringside with Ric Flair, and she gets in the ring and attacks Sasha after the match, and whatever. It's going to be a triple threat at WrestleMania between Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte. I think that match can be really good. Part of me wanted a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, but I'm sure these 3 ladies will do very well in a triple threat match together. Both of them, or all 3 of them, can work, and all 3 of them are respected, and I think the fans, hopefully, will show them the respect they deserve at WrestleMania, and WWE will give them the time they deserve in their match, and they can give us, potentially for the first time in many, many years, a memorable women's match at WrestleMania. We've come a long way from Sable versus Luna, that's for sure. Tag team title match was up next. Of course, they announced this last week. The New Day defending the WWE tag team titles against Y2AJ in easily the best match of the night. I mean, Owens and Neville was damn good, but this tag match was the highlight. Fans were eating it up. Twitter was blowing up. It was action-packed. It was exciting. It had great spots. It had everything. AJ is, man, he is so impressive. Some of the things he can do, jumping off the top rope like that. I love watching that guy go in the ring. He is unbelievable. The finish was also very good. I think AJ gets knocked out of the ring somehow, and then Jericho has got Kofi locked in the walls of Jericho. He tags in Big E. Jericho then locks Big E in the walls of Jericho, and then I think he ends up going for a code breaker, and Big E, in a wonderful counter, ends up picking him up, much like Brock would if he was going to just kind of grab somebody and throw him up into F5 position. Big E kind of did that with Jericho, counters the code breaker, throws him up over his shoulder, and hits him with his finisher, the big ending or whatever the fuck it's called. Nails Jericho with that and gets the pin. The fans loved it. They didn't care who won or lost this match. If Jericho and AJ would have won, I think the crowd would have reacted just the same way. Great job to all 4 men involved, even Xavier out there with the fucking trumpet entertaining the hell out of all of us. It was a great match, and I loved every minute of it. And then at the end, they gave us, because I said last week, I said this match is going to end in one of 2 ways. Either Jericho and AJ are going to be the new WWE Tag Team Champions, or Jericho's going to turn heel. So the fact that they lost, I wasn't sure if Jericho was going to turn heel, because there was no miscue. It's not like Jericho accidentally got hit in the face by AJ, and that caused him to lose, and it pissed him off or whatever. They just lost a tag team match fair and square. AJ didn't make any mistakes or do anything wrong that cost Jericho the pin. He didn't get pinned because of AJ. He got pinned because of himself. So I was thinking, well, maybe they're not going to do the heel turn. And then as soon as AJ starts helping Jericho up, he nails him with the code breaker and then picks him up and nails him with it again. And I don't know, did he hit him with a 3rd time or not? I don't remember. So Jericho did do the heel turn, which a lot of us saw coming. So I guess the WWE was at least able to sell those t-shirts for 1 week. We'll have to see where they go from here. I'm not really that enamored with another match between these 2 guys at WrestleMania unless there's a big stipulation involved. Maybe Chris Jericho has to leave the WWE, or maybe he has to retire. Maybe this is one final run for him. I don't know. He is getting old, but I still think Jericho could probably come in from time to time for really as long as he wants, as long as he stays healthy. But if he is thinking about hanging him up, maybe this can be one final match for him. He can go out as a kicking and screaming heel, much like he did in 2005. And if he sets some sort of match like that up with AJ and says, I know I can beat you, I'm so confident that I can beat you at WrestleMania that I'll put my career on the line, then I guess I'd be okay with the match. Otherwise, I don't see the point, unless they do the match at RoadBlock. And if they announce that maybe on SmackDown, because I think Jericho was supposed to explain himself on SmackDown, so maybe they announce that this match will take place at RoadBlock, and maybe the winner can get involved in a title match at WrestleMania, maybe for the U.S. title or the IC belt. If one of those two winds up being a multi-man match, maybe Jericho and AJ can fight for a spot in that match, and that can take place at RoadBlock. I don't know. As it looks right now, these two guys might actually work at WrestleMania, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that just yet. Kalisto beat Tyler Breeze in a pretty quick match. Tyler was pretty much out there to job. Smart booking again, though, by the WWE number one. They gave Tyler Breeze his full entrance, and he worked with a champion on Monday Night Raw. But I kind of wish the match would have gone a little bit longer, because Tyler Breeze, as we all know, can go in the ring, and so can Kalisto. And maybe given 5 more minutes, they could have really had a good match. Not really sure who Kalisto is going to be working with for the U.S. title at WrestleMania, but one of the possibilities is Ryback, of all people. After the match, Kalisto is in the back talking to JoJo. Ryback interrupts them and then starts telling Kalisto to leave his tag team partner and go on his own. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Ryback. Mind your own business. Why would Kalisto care what you think at all? So you got to wonder if maybe this is going to be our next U.S. title feud, and if they're actually going to put a belt back on Ryback to try to get him over now that they've changed his look and changed his attitude again. If he starts targeting Kalisto in any way, that's going to be an interesting one-on-one match, and two guys that really don't match well together. But if they did do some sort of a multi-person match for the U.S. title, then Ryback could be one of those competitors, and yeah, fine, whatever. I'd be fine with that. I just don't really want to see him win it. He then goes out next to take on former tag team partner Curtis Axel. He comes out there with all the social outcasts, and they cut a pretty damn hilarious promo. Those guys are kind of over in that New Day type of way, and if they keep doing this and they're given some decent material to work with week after week, I think these promos can get over on that type of level. I mean, sometimes they're funny. Sometimes I hate their guts. I mean, I kind of am not really a big fan of the social outcasts as it is. They're just a bunch of jobbers. They're just a bunch of morons, really. But some of these promos they're cutting are a little bit entertaining, and if they get the ball rolling, maybe they can get over on that same level that New Day is. We'll have to see. Ryback makes quick work of Curtis Axel. He did mock CM Punk right in front of his hometown fans, which was pretty funny. Ryback's been doing those running knees, too, lately in matches that CM Punk always did. So, him and Punk kind of have an issue because of some of the things Punk said about him on that Colt Cabana podcast all those many months ago. And that's one thing I do like about Ryback, the way he kind of subtly takes shots at CM Punk. That's pretty funny, and did it tonight right in front of his hometown fans. The main event was pretty solid, although I don't even know what the official decision was. It was either a no contest or a disqualification on Bray Wyatt. The match gets going. Those guys work a pretty decent amount of time. They have great chemistry together. They always have. None of the Wyatt family is at ringside with Bray Wyatt, so they're probably going to show up at some point. The lights go out, they come back on, and the Wyatts are surrounding the ring again. Dean has nowhere to go. They all attack him and completely maul him, and then Triple H comes out. So Triple H pretty much had the Wyatt family do his dirty work. They walked away and let Triple H have Dean Ambrose all to himself. He goes out to the outside of the ring to start taking apart the announce table to beat the shit out of Dean, just like he did last week. And as he's getting back in the ring to grab him, Dean nails him with the dirty deeds. Triple H is out cold. Dean picks up the belt and stands there as the show goes off the air. So that's what needed to happen. You couldn't have Triple H come out there and annihilate Dean Ambrose for a second week in a row and then go to RoadBlock and beat him there too. Dean had to have a moment somewhere. So tonight, to give it to him as the last man standing tall with the WWE title to close out the show in front of a Chicago crowd was probably the right decision to make. Tonight would not have been a good night to have Roman Reigns make his return either. I know a lot of fans were thinking that he was going to do a run-in and save Dean Ambrose there, but if they're trying to keep him off TV for a little while, so I think the WWE is thinking and they're hoping that when they do bring him back finally, probably next week on Raw or at RoadBlock, that the fans are going to pop for him. I don't think that they are, but I think in WWE's crazy-ass head, that's what they think. But tonight, if he would have came back, that would have been a huge mistake. I mean, that crowd would have chewed him up and spit him out. I get what WWE's trying to do, trying to gain sympathy for him. Having that brutal spot on Raw a couple of weeks ago, now he's off TV selling the injury. I think he actually even had some nose surgery done that needed to be repaired, and that was the angle that they used to have him get this. So, they're trying to get him some sympathy from the fans, keep him off TV for a bit, but it's not going to work. And when he comes back and he finally reappears to attack Triple H, as we lead up to WrestleMania, I don't know how the fans are going to react to it. I don't think they're going to give him the response that the WWE is hoping for. So the WWE is still in this dilemma with Roman Reigns. But since he wasn't even on the show tonight, we got RoadBlock coming up this week. We'll talk more about Roman Reigns and Triple H next week after Monday Night Raw. So we got RoadBlock now coming up this Saturday. Right now we know the card is Triple H versus Dean Ambrose, of course, for the WWE title, and Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. Now, Brock versus Wyatt is a match we've always wanted to see. Hopefully this thing lives up, and it's not, kind of a boring letdown like his match with Kofi was on that other WWE Network special, or the one he had with Big Show. I hope this match is actually good. I hope it goes a little bit of time, and I hope it's pay-per-view quality. Brock is going to win this thing, you would think, hands down, unless they do a DQ or something, but most likely Brock will win this. And Triple H is going to walk out of that show with the WWE title as well. You got to know that. I seriously doubt WWE would shake everything up for WrestleMania on a WWE Network special. I think this is more of like a way to whet your appetite for WrestleMania. They used to do all these big countdown shows or Road to WrestleMania shows years ago. As a matter of fact, this one this year, RoadBlock, is in Toronto. I remember at WrestleMania 6, they did like a March to WrestleMania special, and it was hosted from that very tall, I don't know the name of it. It kind of looks like the Space Needle in Seattle. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan hosted the show from up there, and I remember Bobby Heenan being freaked out of heights, very scared of heights, as am I. I am terrified of heights, but I remember Bobby being up there freaking out because the building will sway back and forth, and he was losing his mind. So I've always liked these pre-WrestleMania shows that they've done. This kind of feels like a modern-day version of those old shows they used to do. So I hope the matches are good, and on paper, the two we have signed are really damn good, and I plan on tuning in and watching it. I'm excited. We also have the Hall of Fame coming up in a couple of weeks, the night before WrestleMania. We got another name tonight as well announced on WWE. They announced it actually earlier on in the day, and it's going to be the Big Boss Man, Ray Traylor. Fine with me. I love that guy. My memories of him go all the way back to the NWA when he came in as Big Bubba. He was awesome, and he was such an athletic big man. And I've heard stories of how he got his big break because of some of the things he could do in the ring that most guys 350, 400 pounds couldn't even think of doing. So, he was a really good wrestler and really underrated, I think, at times. He went through a lot of gimmicks throughout his wrestling career, I guess best known for the Big Boss Man. I guess that's how WWE is going to induct him, as the Big Boss Man. I guess that's fine. I'm really curious who will induct him. WWE's probably going to want someone from his WWE past. So, I don't know, maybe Ted DiBiase, maybe Akeem or One Man Gang, who could come in and induct him. Maybe Slick, I don't know. If Hogan was around, he could be a likely candidate. I'd personally like to see Jim Cornette because he was Cornette's bodyguard when he was managing the Midnight Express in the NWA back in the mid-'80s. I don't think Cornette's on too good of terms with the WWE, and definitely not Kevin Dunn. So I don't think Cornette coming in to induct Boss Man would be very likely, but I sure would like to see it. I think it would be pretty damn entertaining. I'm guessing Traylor's wife or family or someone will be accepting on his behalf as he is deceased. But all in all, I'm really happy that he's going in. Definitely long overdue, and he's a worthy Hall of Fame entrant for sure. I think the last couple of names were also announced. Miss Jackie, which is great. I mean, it is in Texas, and she used to be called Miss Texas. Jacqueline going in is an excellent addition to the women's wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, and also Stan Hansen. Now, it's funny, in my head, I kind of thought Stan was already in. He must have inducted someone in some other year because I remember him being there for some reason, but in my head, I thought Stan Hansen was already in the WWE Hall of Fame, but he's not. So the fact that he's going in now, hell yes, he needs to be. WWE also announced tonight WrestleMania 33's location. They are going back to the location of where WrestleMania 24 was, I believe, at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. That's a good market for the WWE. They love Florida. NXT is down there. You would think NXT could have a huge presence in that WrestleMania. They're risking the outdoor thing again. It does rain a lot in Florida. So far, WWE has survived all weather scares, all their outdoor shows. They've never had any issues. I'm always worried in the back of my mind that one of these days and one of these years it's going to catch up to them, so now we have to worry about another outdoor show next year. But hopefully we won't have any of those issues and the show will go off without a hitch. And I'm fine with them returning to Orlando. It's a good city. And finally, before I get out of here, I do want to mention the passing of legendary Japanese wrestler Hayabusa. Really sad to hear that. He was only 47 years old. I'll tell you, I still to this day cannot watch his injury that he had, 15 years ago or so. When he broke his neck and got paralyzed botching that springboard moonsault, it was just, it's awful to watch. I cringe. I can't even fully put my eyes on it. It really puts into perspective the risk that these guys take. I mean, think about how often Jericho performs that move. The same thing could have happened to him at any time if he just slipped or the rope was loose or anything like that could happen. Botches happen every day, and sometimes they can be really, really bad. And the one that he suffered was, I always felt so bad for him because it was one of the worst I've ever seen. If you have a weak stomach or anything like that, I recommend not looking that up. I do know he was able to walk again with a little bit of assistance, and he had to retire after that, obviously, never got in the ring again. And sad to hear that he died at such a young age. I don't even know what the cause of death was. I don't even know. But he got a lot of love on Twitter. All of his fellow wrestlers, his peers, all the guys he's worked with over the years, all had a lot of great things to say about him. They were posting pictures. It was really nice to see all that love for him. And we've lost another one. It's a shame. So rest in peace, Hayabusa. That is it for me tonight. I am out of here. I will be back up here this weekend, depending on how good RoadBlock is. Maybe I'll be up here with a reaction video. Maybe I won't. Either way, I will talk about RoadBlock next week after Monday Night Raw. So leave me your comments below on everything going on with WrestleMania. I'd love to check them out. I will catch you in a few days. Until next time, peace.